The rise of social media platforms has fundamentally reshaped the landscape of public interaction, giving birth to a new class of digital celebrity, the influencer. These individuals, whether focused on fashion, fitness, gaming, lifestyle content, cultivate an image of authenticity and accessibility that fosters deep, often one-sided bonds with their audience. This phenomenon has amplified the concept of parasocial relationship, originally defined as the illusion of face-to-face social interaction between a viewer and a performer, by Horton D. Hall, R&R, 1965. This report will analyze the mechanism through which social media influences intentionally and unintentionally cultivate the illusory connection, exploring the physical roots of parasocial engagement and its evolving manifestation in the digital age. Furthermore, it will investigate the potential positive and negative implications of this relationship for both the consumer in terms of mental health, consumer behavior and self-perception, the influencer, and furthermore, it will investigate the potential positive and negative implication of this relationship for both consumer in terms of mental health, consumer behavior, and self-perception. The influencer in relationship to their professional stability and sense of boundaries. By examining the dynamics between online personalities and their followers, this report seeks to provide comprehensive understanding of how parasocial relationships have become defining feature of the contemporary media environment.
Hi, my name is Dixon, and I will be explaining about semiotic theory parts. Semiotics is the study of signs, symbols, and how meaning is created. In communications, semiotics theory teaches us that objects, image, or words do not have meaning on their own. Instead, meaning is produced through signs. These concepts are very useful for analyzing parasocial relationships with the influencers. This is because parasocial relationships are not formed through real interactions. Followers from emotional closeness based on how they interpret the influencers. To conclude, semiotics help us to understand how influencers communicate identity and authenticity through symbolic use. It also shows how audience create emotional attachment by decoding these signs rather than through real two-way interactions.
Hello sir, my name is Subhashini Armugam, student ID 113565, and today I'll be presenting my part on section 2.1 Semiotic Analysis of Influences. My section explains how influencers use signs, symbols, and communication techniques to create meaning, build identity, and shape how audiences behave. The first one is parasocial relationship and the creation of authenticity. In the past, parasocial relationships were one-sided connections where audiences admired celebrities from far away. However, in the social media era, these relationships have become stronger and more personal. This is because influencers now shape private moments, speak directly to their audiences, and show their real life. These actions act as a sign of authenticity. For viewers, these signs make the influencer feel more trustworthy and relatable. So communication does not just share information, it shapes how consumers think, feel, and act. Second one is from parasocial to trans-parasocial interaction. Newer research shows that parasocial relationships have now shifted into trans-parasocial relationship. This means followers are now not just watching, they are actively engaging. For example, audiences respond in comments, join live sessions, and send direct messages. This two-way involvement creates a sense of participation and partnership. Because audiences feel included, this deeper involvement, thinking about the influencers, interacting with them, and copying their behavior, helps build stronger brand identities. In other words, the relationship encourages followers to see the influencers' preferred brands as their own part of lifestyle. The third one is the positive and negative sides of parasocial bonds. Parasocial relationship can help people but can also harm them. Positive side, they create feelings of belonging, comfort, and social support. Followers may feel understood or less alone when influencers share relatable experiences. And negative side, they can also increase loneliness, unhealthy comparison. For example, when followers compare themselves to an influencer's perfect lifestyle, they may feel inadequate, and some followers struggle to disengage or set boundaries. And even audiences can still form emotional bonds with AI, even though these relationships are built through programmed behavior rather than real human experiences. Examples are Gemini AI and Chat AI. The last one is cultural codes and identity construction. Influencers create identity using semiotics elements such as clothing, colors, language, poses, and visual style. These elements link the influences to larger cultural meanings. These small visual and verbal cues help audiences interpret who the influencer is, what values they represent, and which cultural group they belong to. Thus, semiotic analysis helps us understand how influencers use signs and symbols to build identity, create emotional bonds, and shape consumer behavior and influences, reshaping social norms and redefining how people connect in the digital age. And that's it from my part. Thank you, sir.
Hi, my name is Nurul Afifah and I am the last presenter and I will be explaining the final point of our discussion. Lastly, we want to highlight that audience play an active role in decoding the signs and messages that influencers present. Different people can look at the same post and understand it in completely different way. This happens because audience bring their own cultural background, generation, and social expectation into the interpretation process. For example, when we look at Emma Chamberlain's casual and unfiltered style, younger viewers may see it as authentic and relatable. However, more media literate audience might view the same visual as a carefully planned branding strategy. So this difference shows that meaning is co-constructed and not simply transmitted. In other words, influencers' communications depends on an interactive process where audience interpret, negotiate, and sometimes even challenge the signs that influencers use. So from me, thank you.
For the discussion and analysis, I'm going to talk about application of semiotic theory to parasocial relationships with influencer. Semiotic theory helps explain how influencer make followers feel close to them. According to Barthes and Chandler, everything an influencer posts, like their photos, captions, gestures, and style, acts as a sign that sends meaning. Influencers use these signs on purpose to appear friendly, real, trustworthy, or successful. This makes followers feel connected, even the relationship is actually one-sided. As Horton and Wall explain, semiotics also shows that posts have two meanings: the literal thing we see and the deeper meaning behind it, like luxury or belonging. Barthes' idea of myth explains how influencers make their carefully planned content look natural and genuine. Because of this, followers believe they are seeing the influencer's true self, which strengthens parasocial bonds, just as Stever and Lawson described. Next, we are also going to talk about message framing and communication dynamics. Influencers create parasocial closeness by using semiotic cues in both visuals and language. Close-up shots, eye contacts, and casual settings make them appear authentic and personally connected to followers. Informal language and emotional sharing add to this sense of conversation and intimacy. They also combine images, captions, emojis, and storytelling to make sponsored content feel like friendly advice, which increases trust and persuasion. Cultural signs like local slang and familiar symbols help build shared identity, while likes and comments strengthen the illusion of real interaction.
Hello everyone, my name is Camilla Sofia Mau Anak Dom Nambi and my matrix number is 112962. Today I will explain how influencer affect audience and society using a semiotic perspective. First, audience do not just receive influencer content passively. They interpret signs like tone, visual, and caption based on their own background and culture. Influencers know this, so they design their posts to push a dominant reading, usually to appear authentic, relatable, and close to follower. When followers see this sign of vulnerability or ordinariness, they feel that the influencer is real, even if those moments are actually planned and edited by the influencer. This feeling then turns into parasocial relationship, which are one-sided emotional bonds with influencer. Research show that when these bonds are strong, followers are more likely to trust recommendation, increase their purchase intention, and engage more with brand, especially among Gen Z. Micro-influencer who seem more accessible and interact more often create a stronger bond than distant celebrities on a wider level. This change society and culture. Influencer content spread idea about what success, beauty, and a good life should look like, making things like constant self-branding and luxury consumption seems normal. Algorithm amplify this by repeatedly show similar content, creating echo chamber and reducing the influence of traditional institution like family and new media. This mean influencer communication is not just about sharing content; it's actively shape how people see reality themselves and others. So that's all from me. Thank you.
In conclusion, the influence of social media influencers has dramatically revitalized the concept of parasocial relationship, transforming it from psychological curiosity into a defining feature of modern digital life. The analysis demonstrates that the illusion of intimacy cultivated through consistent content creation, perceived authenticity, and interactive features like DMs, Q&A successfully exploit inherent human need for belonging and connection, while the cultivation of this one-sided bond offer audience of a sense of community, motivation, and shared identity. The inherent asymmetry carries significant risk. Consumers may face blurred boundaries, emotion over investment, and high vulnerability to manipulative marketing strategies, while influencers grapple with the demand of maintaining a relentless, profitable, and often exhausting facade of closeness. Ultimately, the study of parasocial relationship with influencers revealed a profound truth about contemporary media consumption. We are active seeking personal connection within environment designed for mass reach as digital platforms continue to evolve, increasing media literacy, particularly the ability to recognize and contextualize these powerful yet illusory social bonds will be essential for navigate a digitally saturated world, ensuring more balanced and critical approach to the content we consume.